because that's all we could really do. So we started doing Twitch, mainly to just like write and kind of connect with people. And Allison has a Patreon. She makes a lot of jewelry, does a lot of poetry and that sort of thing. And a lot of the people from her Patreon kind of are on the Twitch as well. So they get to kind of see her making stuff and us writing music. And this is like our home studio where we do a lot of that in. And so our people can like get on Twitch and kind of see like, us writing these songs in their infant stages. And then, and then we release the song, whichever one makes it, to get released. Anyway, yeah, but
Sweet. And what I did is I went ahead and I started the live feed. So we are live on YouTube Live. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our pre-show. And
what's up?
Of course, our pregame. This is Ray. Of course, Matt's down at the bottom screen. Matt's not here live with me this week, but we are here with John and Allison from Roses Unread. They're joining us during the pre-show as well. They're also streaming on their Twitch. How you guys doing? How was Thanksgiving and all that? How'd that treat you guys?
Ate too much.
I'm still recovering from Thanksgiving, dude. It was great.
Yeah.
I'll take Thanksgiving over Christmas any day. Not that I don't love Christmas. Allison's a huge Christmas person. I've always loved Christmas, but getting together and seeing people and eating, like sharing a meal, to me, that's like the best thing about the holidays. Like I could care less about actually getting gifts on Christmas. Thanksgiving's where it's at for me.
Yeah.
Hell yeah,
I mean,
feel that.
I'm kind of the same way. Like, I like Christmas, but I'm a big Halloween guy. So my Christmas
she is too.
Past. Yeah,
I like them both.
We went
Equally.
to Salem.
Oh,
Like
wow.
Salem, Massachusetts.
Yeah, we went
No
to Salem,
shit.
Massachusetts
That's
for
awesome.
Halloween. Yeah, so that was pretty badass. Went up there. I did the whole. My wife and her cousin. They did a male and female witch, and they wanted me to be a part of that, but they took fucking forever to order their costumes.
Right.
So I was like, "Fuck this shit," and just ordered like a Michael Myers costume for the new movie, and just did that. So you have everybody wearing all this witch stuff, and then you have like Michael Myers. I took so many pictures with people because I'm a bigger guy anyway. So wearing the jumpsuit and all that, like it looks intimidating. Coming down the road and all that bullshit. So
For sure.
But what I'm gonna do real quick is right here for our little pre-show, I'm gonna get into one of our features on the pre-show, and that is our Urban Dictionary term of the night. So
I can't wait for this.
Urban Dictionary term of the night is Kai Postman 2.0. And the definition of that is a square-headed postman who can't drive. So reading that definition, I kind of imagine like maybe he kind of looks like a character from Minecraft. Like, I don't know, like I've never seen a square-headed postman. So that's the Urban Dictionary term of the night.
He's looking it up.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked up your name on Urban Dictionary?
No, I haven't actually.
Oh, you've never done that? Okay, we're gonna look up John. Let's see. The top definition of a John is shy at first. It may take a little longer for a John to adjust to a new situation or person. Regardless, his personality naturally draws others to himself. Cocky half grin plastered on his face, a Naruto manga in hand. That's not true. Sitting back, completely chill. His relaxed state is almost contagious. He's happiest on a basketball court. Definitely not me. Listening to rad music, I'm down for it. Or just watching an intense thunderstorm. His smile causes butterflies to be born in a certain tummy. That's right. A John has a good heart.
Like that Creatures lyric.
Yeah, a John has a good heart and stands firm on what he knows to be true, but be warned. His heart and trust have been broken in the past, leaving him a bit vulnerable. Don't ever lie to a John or you'll deeply regret it. And used in a sentence, it's, dude, he likes Bring Me the Horizon, You Me at 6, Escape the Fate, and Bless the Fall. Yeah, he's totally a John. I'd say for the most part, like that's
one of his favorite bands is Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah, that's like 90%.
That's kind of weird.
That's like 90% there.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you got a Urban Dictionary.
Now I want to see mine.
Okay.
Yeah, I just did mine, and I got to show this to my wife because she needs to confirm or deny whether
Let's hear
or not
it.
Let's hear yours.
True. It says the most caring and loving guy in the world. Debatable. I know she'll debate that. He has the most beautiful eyes that just make you forget anything's happening. Well, I have shit brown eyes, so that's that's not. And it says he makes you smile just by looking at him and to fall in love with him. He may be a little weird, but it's okay. Everybody's weird in their own way. So the little weird part. Okay, cool.
So it's like 90. It's like 90% there. Yeah.
A
little weird. All
right, Matt. I'm gonna look up your name.
Look at
Matt'll be a good one.
Oh, Matt, yours is the best.
Matt is the bro man. Yeah,
Matt, the one guy from Wii Sports nobody can beat.
I mean, I'm okay in Wii Sports, but
we'll take it up a notch. We'll do it with the Oculus because you just got the dude. Like you sent me those videos of you and Billy, like playing the Oculus. Like you guys just got the new Oculus, and you're just in a bar just beating the fucking dog shit out of people. And when you hit them, their bodies like went to like fucking jello, and you're throwing bodies and stools and like all that fucking chaos. Like.
Yeah, it's a pretty popular game. It's called Bar Fight, and you just get in there and you just fucking punch people in the face.
What was that movie? Roadhouse or
we do. It makes me want to watch Roadhouse again. The old '80s movie. Yeah. Speaking of A Light Divided, we were talking about them earlier. They have a song called Another Bar Fight in Brooklyn. That's like one of my favorite. That's like my second favorite song by them.
We played it on the audio version of the show. So, and also, if you guys want to send us some music, we'll play it on the audio version.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Breaks and all that. And it's crazy because speaking of the Oculus, they're going to release Grand Theft Auto San Andreas on the Oculus. So
that'll be badass.
Yeah. Like,
that's one of the best ones.
Well, it's weird because Mark Zuckerberg announced it, and it's like they're forever flagging people on Facebook if you blow your nose the wrong way. Not to mention,
true.
Just the shit me and Matt will probably do alone on Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Like we were already, like one of our buddies, shout out to Billy, who was on that last week for our Friendsgiving episode. He's like, I can't wait to pick up a prostitute in VR. And I'm like, I can't wait to follow you around. And then once you're done with them, just kill every single one of them like Jack the Ripper.
That's the best thing to do in GTA.
Yeah, that's all you do.
Our drummer Rocky, and we have a shout out to Rocky and Kevin. Kevin's our like concert photographer who's like basically another member of the band. They're big in Grand Theft Auto, and like they play GTA Online, and Kevin, like the three of us played together a few times, and Kevin's got like, have you guys ever played GTA Online on PlayStation or whatever?
It is
okay. Like Kevin's got the penthouse and like the helicopter and the laser gun and all that shit. And it's insane. He does Red Dead Redemption and all that, but I think GTA Online's his favorite.
Yeah, well, GTA Online, have they ran into the Morph Suit gang yet?
I have no idea. Kevin probably has. I think Kevin's probably done almost everything you can on that.
Yeah. There's this gang that goes around in that game online, and it's called the Morph Suit Gang. And it's these guys that they created. They're wearing green morph suits. And they're running around, like 12 of them just show up and they beat the shit out of you, take all your shit, take your cars, all that shit. They just show up and then they're gone. Like, fuck you up, take all your shit, and then they're gone. And I see all these videos of just the morph suit guys just fucking running up and doing all that shit. And it's crazy. It's just the open world insanity. I feel like it's going to kind of be like Free Guy a little bit with the VR. Because it's like, how are you doing it? Like when you're driving, like, I guess, are you behind the wheel of the car? So I guess if you go, well, fuck it, I'm driving off the side of a building. Like, do you see all that in real time? Like, how does that kind of work? Like, it's insane how they're going to map a lot of that out. So, and then Red Dead, as you brought up, Red Dead was another fun one online. Me and Matt had a lot of fun just running around lassoing people while we were on our horses and just dragging them behind us on the horses as they're running down the road. I used to love hog tying people and then throwing them off of a cliff and watch them drown to death in the water because they're hog tied.
freaking hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we tried to do Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption, the three of us, and it ended up being like Rocky and I would kill each other because we're about the same level, and then Kevin would come in and he would just murder us both because he's got all the good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I saw a video. There was a guy. He had a mini gun, and the mini gun would fire one of two things. It would either fire cars or it would fire cats. And people go in and they mod the games, and you're sitting there and just imagine like you run up on a motherfucker and he's shooting cats at you, like like fuck, what the? You just run up. What the fuck kind of shit is this?
Like what does that even look like?
Like cats and cars, those are both equally dangerous. I feel like.
Yeah, he's got himself a pussy cannon. That's what it would be. Like Pussy Cannon 5000. That's what he should have called it. Like, I'm going to introduce you to the Pussy Cannon 5000, motherfucker.
5,000.
Are you guys drinking tonight?
Oh yeah, we sure are. So if you guys,
I would be. I'm all out. Like I finished all my stuff. Yeah, and I totally failed. I just bought a bottle of I just bought a new bottle of Woodford, and I finished it last night. And then after I finished it, I was like, I kind of needed that for the podcast. But
it's fine. It's fine. Hey, have you tried the Metallica blackened whiskey?
Yes, I tried it. I tried it like when it first came out, and it's not my favorite whiskey in the world. It's good. It's a little tough.
Yeah,
like it hits hard.
It hits.
It's not bad.
It definitely hits different. And I mean, that's our featured shot right now. So actually, I'll be doing a shot of that later for our featured shot. But no, I mean, dude, we have a little bit of everything and anything on the show. It's funny, like we've done so many featured beers that I was left over with so much extra shit in my fridge. That we were doing a beer of the week, but we ended up with so much extra shit. I had to go back and start clearing all that out because I was like, 10 years ago, this shit would have been gone like in 2 weeks. Like me now, it's just kind of like I drink like 4 or 5 beers and I'm just kind of like, why is this happening to me? Like,
especially like if you're getting a hold of like IPAs and those the big, the thick porters, and so you got a Bud Light right now. That's a pretty safe option, but like I always mess myself up because during the summertime, we'll be at, when we're not playing shows or whatever, we'll be at the river or whatever, and my ass is like going for the IPAs, and that's never a good. It's never a good idea
because it passes out really early.
I'll and I'm not one of these people. Like I'm actually like a really, really good person to drink with, I guess, because I don't ever like black out or get mean or anything. I just pass out.
Goes to sleep.
I just go to sleep. Yeah, wherever, so just like bring a pillow or whatever, because if it gets I'll just disappear, and you'll see me in the morning, like when I'll make you a cup of coffee or whatever, because I was the first one to sleep.
See,
and that's like I'm like the least rock star person in that regard.
Well, it's funny because us, like, we don't get mean, and Matt can contest to this too.
We don't get mean.
Yeah, we get crazy.
We get a little crazy. This one.
Yeah, and
like
I mean,
hangover type fucking shit.
Oh, dude, like, I mean, we've said this on the podcast before. We went on vacation right as the pandemic was starting to get a little bad. We went to Ocean City, Maryland, and we took a whole entire pool filled up with water, and we threw it off the balcony. Just the whole pool, threw it off the balcony of the condo, and it hit the ground, and it sounded like a body just hitting the ground and exploding.
Like, okay, like a pool, like a kiddie
pool? It was an inflatable pool, like a little inflatable pool.
Okay.
Inflated and took up the whole portion of the balcony. And we went out there, and I don't know what it was. Matt went out there, and he did something. You did something, and we heard the water hit the ground. And then we kind of looked at each other like, well, what would it sound like if all of this water hit the ground at one time? And then the next thing you know, it just up over. My wife's watching. She's like, what the fuck? And then just straight down to the stairwells of the condo. Yeah.
Is your wife, is she like one of the ones who are like, she's like why, like, why do you do these things? And like, what is she just like, whatever, when you do this stuff, or does she get mad, or how does that work?
I mean, not really. Like, she knows what to expect. I mean, me doing 20 years worth of pro wrestling, you need to be pretty fucked up.
Okay.
Yeah. In order to do that, you got to be fucked up. But also, Matt, like, I mean, her and Matt go way back, her.
Hey, I used to want to be a wrestler, so.
Yeah. She's best friends with Matt's wife, so she knows how Matt is. So when she met me, she's just kind of like, you know what, you guys are going to hit it off because, you guys are a lot alike. Both of you are some crazy motherfuckers. Yeah, that's just the way it is. I mean, shit, like when I was wrestling full time, they used to call me Toilet Ripper because we would go to the bar and I would just rip the toilet out of the ground and then we would just roll out. And that'd be it. Like either urinal, toilet, whatever. See you later. We're out of here. We threw a picnic table in the river. It floated back a few days later. God, we did so much
dude.
Fucked up shit. I'm not going to say it directly because I don't know the statute of limitations, but me and my buddy got really drunk and we went on a spree of stealing things that you can put envelopes in that are a part of the that you could get charged with a federal crime, and we stole like about 15.
Yeah. Those you don't mess with those.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I would ride up and down the road and on my bike and like open people's mailboxes, and I would never like destroy the mail. I think like I threw some fireworks in a few of them or something, so I may have destroyed some mail, and then. One of the neighbors who was a little bit older, he's like, man, like you can go to jail for that. Like, and I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't, didn't do anything to her. I was like, no, dude, that's federal property. Like you gotta, I'm calling the cops right now. They're going to come like haul you in. And I was scared for about a day.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because it's been about like 15 years or so. And we were sitting there, we were walking down the road and we're carrying like this 30-pack beer and we're carrying it. And the 30-pack just exploded. All the beer just falls out onto the ground, like just all the cans of beer. And we're just kind of like, fuck. Like we're walking and we're like, what are we supposed to do with this? So my buddy looks over, he sees this mailbox. It's like this big wooden, like house looking mailbox. And he reaches in, he takes the mail out, throws the mail on the ground, and he rips the mailbox off the post. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, don't worry, I got us a new cooler. And he puts all the fucking beer in it, puts it on his shoulder, and then we just keep going to our destination. So we show up with a house mailbox filled up with beer, and everybody's like, what the fuck do you have? And we're like, we got you a mailbox. Like, you can put this outside. It's your mailbox. We got you a gift. Blah, blah.
That's called opportunistic. Is that what they call that? Yeah. Like you make the most out of whatever opportunity presents itself to you.
Yes.
It's just called being resourceful.
And I mean, right here on the Happy Hour podcast, I just admitted to committing a federal crime. But hey, whatever. It was 15 years ago.
Yeah, I think the statute of limitations is like 7 or 8 years, so you should be fine.
Yeah. If not, then some federal agents may come crashing through my window in the middle of the podcast, and you guys just get to see me wrestle down and taken out with AK-47s. We
start seeing like the red dots show up on the camera. then I'll just disconnect, and I don't even know what are you talking about? You trace my IP to this guy's podcast. Like I don't.
And you guys, I'm pretty sure you guys have you guys seen a lot of wild stuff, like being on the road and all that shit?
We are like we're a fairly tame band because we have Allison and our merch girl Whitney go with us, so like we have ladies going with us, so like I kind of, and I'm usually the one kind of keeping everybody in line or whatever. I'm like the band dad. So like I guess to answer your question, like I keep everybody from having a lot of fun because I'm like, we got to get the sound check, got to check into the hotel, got to leave by this time, bus call is this time, so we've seen, we've seen we try to be professional and all that stuff. And, we like, it's inevitable. You always run into some bullshit, when you're going and playing shows and going to different places. And sometimes you go play a gig and we try to research the venues we're playing ahead of time, but sometimes you show up to a place and the pictures you've seen of it or like what they told you about it is completely misleading, and we're kind of looking around like, man,
we're in the right place.
Yeah, like why are we even here?
Yeah.
Like okay, you guys like don't Allison, like you stage and merch booth, and those are the only two places you're allowed to go, because we don't want you to like get like kidnapped or whatever tonight.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask that actually. What was probably one of the shittiest places? Because like me with pro wrestling, like it'd be one of those types of things where I would show up somewhere and I'm sitting there wheeling my bag behind me. I walk into the venue and I look around. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I look at my tag partner. Are there going to even be people here? And he's like, don't worry about it. We're going to the strip club after our match anyways. Let's just go out there and wrestle. Fuck out of here.
That's always good. Our photographer Kevin, he also, when he's not running around with us, he does a lot of wrestling like around the Memphis area. They have
really nice.
Like a couple of Memphis wrestling organizations around like West Tennessee exclusively, but especially in Memphis. And because Memphis was like the hub of wrestling for years and years and years, when we were all growing up.
Yeah.
And I've been to a few, amateur wrestling matches, and I know exactly what you're talking about, because you walk into the place and it looks like the roof is about to fall in.
Yep.
And there's a ring. And you're like, oh, what? Wait.
And everybody's like, and like all the people that are there every time the doors open, like they think it's the greatest thing ever. That's cool about wrestling fans, is like they're diehard.
Oh yeah.
Like they're there no matter what, and they're the ones like jumping out of their seats and getting just excited. And I'm like, these people are kind of like, you think people that go to like metal shows and rock shows are crazy. Like, no, dude, like these people that go watch these wrestlers, they're like diehard. I love it. But yeah, there was I don't want to name the name of I don't want to name the place specifically.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Because they literally threatened me with legal action.
Really?
Like these pieces of shit. Anyway, so we played this place in, it's in Alabama. It's in, the place is in Huntsville, Alabama, and I don't want to talk trash about Huntsville, Alabama, because there's another venue in Huntsville, Alabama called Shag Nasty's that is amazing.
Okay.
Huntsville, Alabama is a great market for bands. That's like, every time we ever play Huntsville, packed house, like everybody comes to see us, and like the fans and the people in Huntsville, Alabama are incredible. But this one time we played this little bar that happened, that has like puts bands in the corner. Basically, it was one of those type of deals. And this has been like 5 or 6 years ago we played this place, and I don't want to name the place specifically, but like local people will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And again, I want to say this is not like a jab at Huntsville, Alabama at all. This is just this one place we had a bad experience. We went and we played this show, and there was like a touring band from Florida on the bill. And there was like a local band from the area that we had played shows with in the past. They were on the bill too. And everything was cool, like crowd was good. Like, we had a crowd, and like the bands were cool. We whatever. Well, what happened was, at the end of the night, let me try to remember exactly like the chronology of the events. At the end of the night, this venue had a booking agent, and they had like a few different owners, is the way I understand it. They had 2 or 3 or 4 people who owned the place.
Cookie jar, yeah.
Yeah, and then they had like a lady who was like the booking agent that booked all the entertainment. Okay, so we had dealt with the booking agent ahead of time, and she said, we got a guarantee, which means that, we show up to play our set, we're guaranteed this much money. And she, guaranteed us this much money. All right, cool. Well, so she was not at the particular show, like she was on vacation or she was out of town or something. She wasn't there. And at the end of the show, one of the owners, who is this older gentleman, and I use the term gentleman loosely, he was like the one running the place, if you want to call it that. And Allison and the singer from like the headlining band, they went up to, and then the singer from the other band. So three ladies, they like all three bands that night had female lead singers. So three ladies go up to this guy and they're like saying, okay, well, one band was like, this is what we were told. And we were like, this is what we were told. And then the opening band was like, well, we just thought it was just going to be a door split. So like there was a miscommunication on the front end.
Yeah.
And the singer from one of the bands was like, look, we were guaranteed this much money, and like I'll get my agent on the phone or my lawyer on the phone right now, and like, like and so like it was turning into like this it was turning into a shit show real quick. And like me and the other guys in the group, like we were packing up gear and stuff, and Allison was handling this. And the guy was on the owner of the place was like on the phone with the booking agent, and like he was trying to get her side of the story. And then like the person in the other band that we played with was like trying to tell him like what she had been told. And then Allison kind of interjects and was like, no, like it's cool, whatever, like this is what we were told. But Allison's like trying to be the peacekeeper here. And then like he gets in Allison's face and starts like cussing her. And I round the corner about that time, and I see this guy like getting in her face, and then she's like, dude, I don't appreciate
right up his ass.
Like
probably wanted to.
My first instinct as I rounded the corner was like, fuck this guy and his teeth. Yeah. And but then I looked, and like behind him there were like 4 or 5 of his guys that worked with him, and they were just all kind of like leaning on the corner, kind of watching what was going on. And I'm like, if I hit this guy, they're probably gonna like beat my ass, and then I'm gonna go to jail. And Allison was like, dude, I don't appreciate you talking to me like that. And she handled it. And so good for her. Like she shouldn't have been in that situation to begin with. Like screw that guy for being like that. But the end of the night, like we got it all settled. And then I get on Facebook and I'm like telling bands I know, like, don't play at this place, because like, they're just not like they're not good. They don't do, we didn't have a good experience there.
Yeah.
And then it got back to them, and they like messaged me on Facebook, and they're like, you're gonna get sued for slander and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, fine, but that was probably like one of the worst experiences. And then another really bad experience actually happened this year, like probably the worst experience of us being a band happened this year. So last year, everybody knows, like, I think we played 1 or 2 shows last year, and then the pandemic happened, and we couldn't play for 2020. And if that affected everybody. Well, so 2021 rolls around, we start booking shows in new markets, new venues we've never been to, and we're so excited. Like we're going up to Indiana for the first time, we're going to West Virginia for the first time, we're going to Ohio for the first time. We're hitting, we're going back to Alabama and hitting like the Gulf Coast. Like we're hitting markets that we haven't hit in a long time, as well as playing markets that we've never been to before, and we're super excited. So we're doing this little short run with this band from Nashville called The Other LA. Those guys are amazing as well. Go check them out. first night of the run, like we play in Indianapolis at this really, really cool venue, and it's like a Thursday night, I think. And we get a call from the front desk, like our trailer had been broken into.
Oh no.
And dude, so like what happened was our trailer has a ramp. They didn't get the ramp, like they didn't cut the ramp. They cut the latch on the side door, and they got the smaller boxes they could fit through the door. So they didn't get drums and guitars, but they did get like all our microphones, our in-ear rig. They got our pedal boards and our amps. And that was like night one, dude. That was like the first night of us like really going out and doing some stuff. And you know, at this point it was like a year and a half, because this was in June.
Yeah.
And luckily for us, like we had a lot of it insured, and Allison put out feelers on Facebook, and we have some of the best, you know, friends and fans you could ask for, because a lot of people donated, and we were able to drive to Sweetwater headquarters, which was like an hour and a half away, and get what we needed to make it through the rest of the run. And the other LA were nice enough to like Gerardo, the guitar player from the other LA, he let me use like his rig and like his effects and stuff. But like we got, like I had to get new microphones and, you know, stuff like that. But when it was all said and done, we had everything replaced. But that's just an awful experience.
Damn, it sounds like you guys were playing in Baltimore.
Oh, God. Well, come to find out, Indianapolis, and again, I'm not knocking Indianapolis, because like we had an amazing show, and like the local band that opened up for us was incredible. The venue was incredible, and we had a lot of like our fans that had followed us for a long time come out to the show, and we got to meet them face to face, which is you know, like which is like priceless. But it was just like, it sucked. It was one of those times where it was like, because when you're on the road and you're away from home, like your van and your trailer is basically your home. And we were staying in a hotel room that night. And you know, we were parked in the back lot, and they got us after we had gone up to our room. Yeah. But you know, like if you travel your van and your trailer, that's like your home. And it was almost like, it's almost like somebody broke into your house and took, you know, like your family photos, or like took your dog or something.
Yeah, it's shit that they just don't need. And what I'm going to do real quick, guys, is we're going to go ahead. We're going to start the audio version, the actual audio version of the podcast. So we're going to roll right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Happy Hour podcast. My name's Ray. Matt's back this week. He's no longer lost in the woods. Of course, our Friendsgiving episode, and the other main host wasn't here because he was high as shit driving around in the woods. What? On vacation for Thanksgiving. But no, you know, it is what it is. And of course, anybody you know, listening, make sure you go over to our YouTube. We're being joined by John and Allison from Roses Unread, and they joined us for a little bit on our pre-show. And we're going to get right into it. You guys, of course, John, you sent me the video for Creatures. You guys just had Creatures come out, and the video is amazing. The song's amazing. What went into Creatures? Like, were there any kind of obstacles you guys had to do? Because, of course, we're coming off of COVID and all that. Is there anything, you know, obstacle-wise that you guys had with shooting the video Creatures? So just kind of let's back up, because if we go back to 2019, we released an EP of sorts called Rapture. Okay. And it was kind of like a concept album. And, you know, we had no idea that when we released this album called Rapture, that 6 months later that we would be in the middle of a pandemic, and like we would be enduring a rapture of sorts. Rapture. So coincidence. Yeah, exactly. And then so earlier this year in June, we released Leave a Light On, and Leave a Light On was the first song in our post Rapture series. So like Rapture was the concept of
you know, it's like an allegorical story. The songs are deeply personal to Allison. You know, she wrote the lyrics and everything, but there's also this like side story of like this character navigating this post-apocalyptic rapture type situation, and that's what those songs are about. And so it's like each song has two meanings almost. And Leave a Light On is the first song in our post-rapture series. We released that back in June, and that is the same character navigating after this rapture situation. And you know, it couldn't have been timed any better, and we didn't really intend for that to happen, because we released the song as the world was kind of able to breathe from this pandemic situation that we were all forced into. Now, in Creatures is song number 2 of our post-rapture series, and we actually wrote a majority of these songs that we're going to be releasing over the next year and 2 years. We wrote a lot of these songs live on Twitch, on Allison's Twitch stream, during the pandemic, because we were all locked down. Like there's 4 of us in our band. We really couldn't get together and practice for almost a whole year. So Allison and I are, like, for all intents and purposes, we're the principal songwriters, and our Twitch people were able to, you know, see us write Leave a Light On and Creatures, you know, from Allison basically finding some pre-made loops and like some chord progressions that she thought was cool, and then like me building guitar riffs and programming drums off of that. And then when we felt it was safe for everybody to start getting together again, then Jed and Rocky, who is our bassist and our drummer respectively, they, you know, came in and they were like, okay, it needs a solo here. And then the 3 of them sat in this room here and kind of coached me through the solo that ended up being the solo for Creatures. By the time we actually shot the video, though, to answer your question, we didn't really run into any obstacles, because we did have an actress in the video, and we had like a whole video crew, but you know, it wasn't like a huge group of people, and the locations we shot were very isolated. It was like all private property. So we were very fortunate in that regard. Our creative director, December Hansen, she is like our artistic / creative person as far as our videos and a lot of our photography and concepts are concerned with the band. She knows so many people that, and so she always manages to find us like the best extras, the best actresses, or actors that we need for the video, locations. So she is an invaluable part of our team, and we were very lucky that we didn't have to shoot either any of these videos in like very public locations. They were very isolated, and we could go in and focus and get the performances we needed to and not be distracted. And also everybody was able to remain like at a safe distance from each other and stay safe. And, you know, none of us have. I think Allison and I had COVID earlier this year, and luckily it didn't really hurt us that bad. But it's like one of those things, like you don't know how it's going to affect you. So we always want to kind of be as safe as we can, you know, being around other people.
Yeah, Matt got it. I mean,
everybody,
It was like a sinus infection for both of us. Like neither of us lost taste or smell. We both tested positive for it, but neither one of us lost taste or smell. We just had to quarantine for 10 days, and it was like kind of like a sinus infection. You know, so it wasn't, but again, I know a guy who's not much older than me. He like put him in the hospital and about killed him. Yeah. You know, and we have another friend who died from it, you know, recently. So it's just, it's crazy.
I now you guys brought up the whole Twitch stuff with writing, you know, a lot of the stuff on Twitch. Now with that, you said you were doing some stuff with, you know, your guitar and, you know, doing some riffs with that. When you write on Twitch, how does that work? Like with the writing aspect of it, are you actually writing? Are you just kind of writing and kind of singing out the lyrics as you're putting them down? How exactly, like, you know, if I were to tune into the Twitch, to see you guys writing? How do you, because that's interesting to me. I've never heard of anybody, doing that. That's very interactive with the fans and all that. So what's you guys process for, pretty much doing that on the Twitch?
Well, I actually was doing a little bit of that before we jumped on, and I just been playing with some loops today and had a little melody come in my head, and the lyrics just came out of an old poetry book, and I kind of matched some with my melody. And I was just on Twitch writing that. I didn't get very far because, we had this podcast, but, I was like, I just want to kind of, just see what I can come up with in 30 minutes, and then I can build on something now. But yeah, Creatures was written on Twitch. So, it's just one of those things, like they're my biggest cheerleaders, like everybody that hangs out with us. And they root me on and they help me sometimes. They're like, hey, try this word, and it really does help. And yeah, I just love doing it. It doesn't really frustrate me, but sometimes he gets frustrated when he does it.
Frustrated.
So I kind of do more of the writing on Twitch. And then when we have like a decent idea, I'll bring it to him, and then we do more on Twitch with it after he's kind of had his time with it alone.
Yeah, there's not really the method to our madness as far as Twitch is concerned, because there's so much stuff we do on there. Like we might be writing, Allison may just be like playing piano and singing and playing guitar. Allison may be making jewelry. I do like a song breakdown series where I share my screen, and we'll be in Pro Tools, and I've got like the stems of one of our songs, and then I'll talk about, here's what the drums are doing, and here's what the bass is doing with the drums, and like I break down each section, each instrument, group of each song, and I'm like, we put this part here and it interacts with this here, and this is why we did this. And so you get like a 1 hour kind of deep dive into my way of thinking as far as putting songs together. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm the end all be all songwriter in this group, because I'm not, because we have a wonderful producer, David Cowell, who's been our producer for years now. And basically what'll happen is Allison and I will kind of mess with something on Twitch, usually maybe like a section of something, and then Rocky and Jed will kind of bring it to them, and they'll kind of get their ears on it, and then we'll go to take it to Dave, our producer, and then he helps us. We're like, okay, there's some cool stuff in here, but it's not there yet. And then he's really good about taking, because very, very, very rarely, and I'll be the first to admit, I'm not one of these people. Every now and then I can take an idea and run it from start to finish, and by the time like we go to record it, it's like done. It's where it needs to be. Very rarely does that happen. Most of the time, like we have a skeleton, we have some ideas that may be halfway there, and we may have a melody that's really cool, or we may, and it's just like the guitar is just strumming and the programmed drums are just very basic, and there's like some cool synth that Allison or I may have programmed in there. And Dave kind of helps us flesh it out and really make it into something interesting that, we'd be proud to put out. But yeah, there's not, we don't have like a certain method for anything. It just, and I guess it's both stressful and it's also like refreshing at the same time. It's really weird because, it's like, we never know how the next one's going to come about.
Yeah.
We've written
so many different ways.
We've written songs where it's just been Allison and Dave and I, and Rocky and Jed just came in and like played their parts and kind of added their spin on it. And then we've had things where the four of us band wise, like Creatures was one of those songs where the four of us like fleshed it out here in my studio, and we got it like 90% of the way there, and then brought it to Dave, and then Dave kind of helped us add that extra 10% to it. So yeah, we do it all kind of different ways.
Yeah, and I connect with the whole, like what you just said, because I mean, really with our podcast, and if you guys have seen any other episodes before, and of course anybody listening at home or watching at home, they know, with my wrestling background, and Matt will contest to this and tell anybody this, is that I'm a big call it on the fly type guy. Like, you know, when I did pro wrestling, if someone came to me with a promo and was like, say all this, I ain't saying all that shit. Give me
Yeah.
bullet points. Let me go out there. Let me get it over.
Mhm.
And, you know, when we started doing the show, you know, for me, it got hard when I had notes. And I was like, all right, well, let me absorb as much information as I can and then just go in. We can be us. And it seems more authentic, you know, just going in and calling the whole thing on the fly, because it's like at that point, I have no other choice but to think, you know, have fun, you know, find ways of being creative. And with everything, it's kind of funny. And I feel like the rock industry is going really forward with a lot of female fronted vocalists in
For sure.
rock and roll. Because you look at it, like, shout out to Light Divided. We're talking about them. You know, JC fronts them. Of course, Allison for you guys. You know, you have Hailstorm. You have, you know, what is Hailstorm? Why can't I think of their name? The blonde girl.
We're going to see Storm and Evanescence next Friday in Nashville. It'll be like like I'm stoked.
Yeah, I mean, it's just great, and I love all of it. In this moment, of course, you know, so I really feel that the rock industry is really starting to turn with a lot of female-led bands, which is, you know, amazing, because I love female-led bands. Of course, a Light Divided, they're our opening theme right here for the audio version of the podcast, and you know, especially in an era where rock, you know, you sit there, you watch any award shows like the Grammys, you know, Video Music Awards, all that. How come it is that the rock category is always shit? Like the rock category, it's like Mumford and Sons is like winning best rock, and you're like, what about fucking Shinedown or Metallica or you know, shit like
Shinedown actually shared something recently. I think it was Facebook or Instagram. It may have been both, but according to this thing they shared, like rock was the number 2 most consumed music genre either last year or this year or something like that, and like under, you know, right below rap. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why that like rock doesn't get the nod that it should from the Grammys, but you know, it's you know, it's whatever, dude. Like it's one of those things. And and going back to what you said, like seeing a lot more you know, and the whole female fronted thing, like some people treat it like it's its own genre, and it's not, but
it's definitely not.
But you know, like we're right there with everybody else, but like, you know, female fronted rock bands, it's definitely like a different sound, you know, obviously. But if you look, the female like women, you know, how they've been leading the charge in the pop world for years and years and years and years and years, and they're still, you know, like Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, they're you know, just they've been killing it for forever. And but to have, you know, and then you've got there's a band from Michigan called Eva Under Fire, and I've been following those guys for a long time, and I've been friends with their guitar player Chris, and they signed a deal with Better Noise recently, and they've been on the road with like Buck Cherry and Skillet, and they're freaking killing it, dude. And Spirit Box, I'm a huge Spirit Box fan. They're freaking killing it. So I'm stoked that, you know, not that we weren't ever legitimate or authentic or whatever, because we, you know, I feel like, you know, bands that have a woman as the front person, we've always been just as legitimate as anybody else, but you see a lot more people you see less misogyny, I guess. Which is great. And you see a lot more people be more open to it. Whereas, you know, when I was growing up, really the only bands that you had, like Paramore, Evanescence, and you had
Kitty was one.
Kitty and
gosh, there's somebody else.
And Flyleaf. And those were really the only bands, like rock bands, that had a woman front person that people, you know, were really into, and everything else everybody was like, hold up now.
Yeah.
You know, I can't listen to too many women singing about something.
Yeah. Well, also look at like
that's
before then, Joan Jett as well.
yeah, yeah.
A trailblazer as well, you know. So it's it's funny going back to the Grammy stuff because I think, and I could be wrong, but I know one of the award shows, Machine Gun Kelly won like a best rock song or something like that, and not knocking Machine Gun Kelly like his rocks, but I'm like, come on, man, this is the dude who challenged Eminem and got buried. Eminem like skinned him alive in front of the public. So he switched genres because Eminem murdered him. And now he's getting all this stuff. And I feel like he's going to end up like a band like Shinedown or Metallica is going to end up murdering him. And then he's going to go to country or some shit like that. And it's just kind of like, come on.
I would love to see Machine Gun Kelly go country. I think that would be wonderful.
I'm sure that's coming.
It's I think you're onto something. Give him about 4 or 5 years and he'll be on tour with like Luke Bryan or somebody.
He just comes out riding out on a horse with a machine gun in his hand. Just
God, yeah, that'd be great. And he'll be singing songs about like riding back roads and drinking beer or something, you know.
Riding back roads and drinking Megan Fox's blood. That's what it's going to be because apparently,
she's going to be drinking his blood. You've got it backwards. She's obviously the vampire in that relationship.
Yeah, that's extremely weird. Like, everybody's sitting there talking about how, like, you know, Prince Harry's like chick looks like she's a robot, and no. Worry about Megan Fox. She's the one carrying around vials of blood and drinking vials of blood and all that. No.
I mean, she was in the first 2 Transformers movies. Like, come on, man. She's with the Autobots or something at the very least.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
Oh, she is an Autobot. That's what it is. But also Jennifer's body, if you remember that.
I forgot about that one.
So that's definitely Jennifer's body type stuff. And what we're going to do real quick, shout out to Bud Light, which is our current featured beer. We've been featuring Bud Light for about the last month or so. So shout out to Bud Light. And what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to get into our featured shot, which we were talking about a little bit earlier, which is Metallica's Blackened.
Yes.
So, of course, Matt's not here, so Matt doesn't have to subject himself to this. So, and of course, the cork is stuck in the bottle.
I see that.
Because what happened is when it got shipped to us, the cap got broken off.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh,
do you have a wine bottle opener?
I do.
That'll work too. Just use your teeth.
There we go.
Awesome.
That's how you get down.
So there we go. We're gonna go ahead and pour that in there. And that's the thing, like that would be something. This dumbass pro wrestler just rips his teeth out on YouTube trying to fucking pull a cork. So cheers. Of course, shout out the Blackened whiskey. Make sure you pick up Metallica's Black Album and put a little bit of fuel in your system. And here we go.
Woo!
It's a great whiskey. It really is a great whiskey. And the bottle is great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think the bottle art is really cool. The whiskey
Definitely
is so it's not my favorite whiskey, but it's good.
It's probably got the coolest bottle of any whiskey that I've had.
It does have a cool.
I remember when the Blackened first came out. I probably got a bottle of one of the first batches that hit West Tennessee, and I was so excited. It's great whiskey. I love it.
And what we're going to do real quick, we're going to get into our games, our Ode to Humanity segment. So you've probably seen some of these games if you guys have watched any of our episodes before. We've added a couple recently. So we're going to start off with Name 3. So we're heading into Christmas. So what we're going to do is we're all going to go around kind of a round table. Name 3 ways Santa disciplines his elves.
Is this for Allison and I?
Yeah. Whatever you guys can think of. What do you think are 3 ways Santa would discipline his elves?
I think he spanks them for one.
They have to clean his. I think they have to clean his feet.
They have to clean his feet.
Yeah.
And I
He goes
think
through chimneys in his boot. You know, they have to like clean his.
I
boot.
think and I think they also have to clean out the reindeer stalls. Like they have to scoop the shit out of the stalls, like the bad elves. Instead of making toys one day, they have to scoop shit.
All right, Matt, what do you think? 3 ways Santa disciplines his elves.
Well, one of them has got to be probably cleaning Mrs. Santa's sex toys. And
I knew this was going to be good.
yeah, that's really the only one I think of. That's like a really bad.
Well, if I could think of any, I would think he would make them clean his asshole with a toothbrush. So that's how he would bathe him. He would have them bathe him with a toothbrush. He would make them have sex with Mrs. Claus, because any photo I've seen of Mrs. Claus, that kind of, you know, or he would just ground them up and feed them to the reindeer, and then the reindeer will be flying so high because they're shitting out elf remains.
Okay, so that goes into another thing. Do you think that reindeer are omnivores?
I don't.
Or do you think that he grinds the elves up and he puts it in with their like grain and stuff, and they don't?
I think the reindeer have eaten flesh without question.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think they're just straight up carnivores.
They're straight up carnivores.
You have to feed them fucking elves to get them tame.
Yeah, I think the only leaves the reindeer probably eat is probably the marijuana that he probably puts into their feed every so often. Because I mean, you look at it, Rudolph has that glowing nose. You know that's some
my entire childhood starts to make sense right now. Like this is like a light bulb moment for me right now.
And then the next one is going to be, if you would name 3 places where you would not want to die while having frostbite.
Well,
no.
Frostbite for one would be an awful way to die.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. You have frostbite,
an awful precursor to death. I wanna just go out on a limb and say Florida, because if you have like Florida's crazy.
Yeah,
and if you're in Florida and have frostbite, you probably got into some stuff you didn't really need to get into, and then the locals will probably feed you to an alligator after you're dead.
Yeah, just sniper rifle me in the head right now. Like that's just,
just put me out of my misery. I would also have to say probably the North Pole, because based on our previous conversation, if you die at the North Pole, you'll probably get fed to a reindeer. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
What about in the ocean?
If you have frostbite, like if you were in the ocean, if you built a time machine and you were on the Titanic, you were on the Titanic with Jack and what
Rose.
was it? And Rose.
Yeah, and that bitch just lets you sink to the bottom. Yeah,
and you're like that would be an awful way to die. Like I was, like I had to put my foot in an ice bath recently because after our last show Friday, I sprained my ankle carrying gear down some stairs, so I had to ice my foot, and I stuck my foot in like a bucket of ice for 5 minutes, and it was like the most awful experience. And Allison's like, just think about those people on the Titanic drown in ice water, and like that's your foot that feels bad, like that. Like think about your entire body. And I was like, wow, that's like awful.
Yeah.
I guess after his best friend.
After about 4 or 5 minutes, though, you probably, I mean, you wouldn't.
Yeah. You're like numb and don't know you're dying.
You're just gonna like freak out, and
Matt, what about you? If you had frostbite, where's 3 places where you would not want to be dying of frostbite?
Oh shit. I don't know. Can't really think of anything. I mean, like they just said, like in the water. I mean, that would fucking suck. Yeah, off the top of my head, I'd have to go with the water. I wouldn't want to get frostbite.
Yeah. Or like stranded in a car or something, and you can't get to like anywhere safe and you're just stuck in the car dying and you get frostbite. That would suck.
like
and you have no food to eat.
when I thought about it,
like
like the Appalachian Mountains. I went to North Carolina just recently. Like being out in the Appalachian Mountains, and you're out there with all the bears and Bigfoot and all that, like anything that can just come up and just kill you instantly. Or if you went ice fishing, this is what I thought of right off. You go ice fishing and you fall into that fucking little circle that you fall into the circle, but you get trapped under the ice. You can't get back.
And you're just like this the whole time.
You see yourself, like you just see your people panically and you're just like, break the fucking ice. Like, what do you do? Why are you running back and forth? Let me the fuck up. Like, that's
that one.
Oh man. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna move on to What Do You Meme? Have you guys ever played What Do You Meme?
That's one of her favorite games. Yeah.
All right, cool. So what I'm gonna do is I have a card and I'm gonna hold it up. And what I want you guys to do is I want you to create your own meme for this card. So this is the card that we have for everybody listening at home. It's a sad old man with his hand on his face and he's wearing a pink shirt.
I've got
my face when our shit got stolen.
Yeah, I was gonna say that looks like Santa in the off season, and one of the elves was bad, so he's got to feed the elf to the reindeer.
Our Santa hit a bad shot at the golf course because he's wearing that polo shirt.
Yeah,
I'm thinking right offhand when you're one of the elves that you realize you just fucked up, and now you with a toothbrush. What about you, Matt?
I don't know. That guy just looks like he's just fucking. He's very disappointed in himself, like he came too early or something like that.
Or like that face when everybody thinks you're Dr. Phil's brother because he looks.
Nice.
But you have no good advice to give.
You have no good advice to give. Yeah.
All right, and now we're gonna go on to Incoherent. Have you guys ever played Incoherent?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not off the top of my head. I don't remember.
All right. So Incoherent pretty much is a game where I'm going to hold up a series of cards and they're going to be in drunken lingo. So you're going to sound them out, listen to yourself, sound them out, work together if you want to. There's also hints on the back of the card and you need to try to figure out what the quote on the card is. So what do you think that says?
I want Matt to go first on this one.
Matt, you're at a disadvantage. You don't know what they are.
I know this time. Normally, I know the answers because I could see them on the back of the card. Yes, skewing. Yes, skewing.
Do you like a hint?
Yeah, give me a hint.
You go, girl.
I know it. I think I know it.
What do you think it is?
Like, yes, queen.
Yes, queen. Yeah, that's it. That's it. And then the other one.
Is that like the girls at the bar that are like,
yes, queen. I have never heard that term.
Shots, queen.
Yeah.
And then what do you think that one is?
Kylie Jenner.
Kylie Jenner.
Kylie Jenner.
Kylie Jenner, that's right. And the hints were makeup.
Yeah.
Richest Kardashian. And we're going to do one more.
I've never played this game.
Think that is
Bertha Cunt Roll.
What?
One of the hints is sexual safety.
Dude, I think I got the second half of it, and oh my god.
She's still like, huh?
The other hint is not 100% effective, but 100% recommended.
Bertha Hunt Roll.
You guys give up?
Yeah, I can.
I got
It's
yeah.
birth control.
Birth control.
And of course,
I
our
get
early
that one.
humanity segment cannot be complete without Cards Against Humanity. So,
Oh shit.
yes. So we do it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when we did it with a light divided, we did it a different way. We have a new way that we do the show. So what we're going to do, the way we do the game, what we're going to do is we are going to give you the face card, and we're going to give you a number between 1 and 4 or 1 and 5, and you guys are going to randomly answer that card with the number that you choose. If you don't like the card, you get 1 rebuttal in order to answer it. So what I'm going to do, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So the first round is blank. It's a trap. So what you're going to do is you're going to choose a number between 1 and 4 to answer that randomly.
Choose.
2.
2?
2.
All right. 8 ounces of sweet Mexican black tar heroin. It's a trap.
That's
Are
definitely
you
a
satisfied
fucking
with
trap.
that? Or do you want to rebuttal and choose another card?
I'm staying with that.
We're staying with the black
You
tar
gotta pick
heroin.
one too.
I have to pick one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other options you could have had were Fuck Mountain. Scrubbing
That's such a
under
good
the folds.
card.
Yeah. Scrubbing under the folds, which the elves know a lot about that. And then the way white people is. So those are some of the other options.
I feel like the one I picked.
Fuck Mountain is one of
Besides
those.
Fuck Mountain.
Fuck Mountain is
yeah.
one of my favorite cards in the entire game.
But
Yeah.
but the other one to me
the
made more sense.
black tar heroin is a good one
Yeah,
too.
I'll stay with that one.
And then we do 3 rounds. So here's round 2. It lurks in the night. It hungers for flesh. This summer, no one is
Megan
safe
Fox.
from blank.
Hmm.
What do you think? 1 through 4?
I'm gonna do 3.
3. All right. So it lurks at night. It hungers for flesh. This summer, no one is safe from German dungeon porn.
I think we have a winner.
You think you have a winner with that?
I
All
think
right.
we have
So
a winner.
some of the other options that you could have chose, if you would have chose a rebuttal, could have been George Clooney's Musk, whatever McRib is made of, and a sex comet from Neptune that plunges the Earth into internal sexiness.
I think the German dungeon porn
Yeah.
is
So I like that
probably
one.
the winner of that round. Yeah,
Dungeon porn. That
And
is some scary shit.
kind of
Now-
reminds me of like that Hostel movie.
what is the most emo? 1 through 4.
The most. I'm gonna say number 1.
Number 1. All right. So number 1 is a pile of squirming bodies.
That's pretty. That's pretty morbidly emo.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
are you satisfied with that, or do you want to rebuttal and choose another card?
Are you satisfied with that, or do you want to have a rebuttal?
I'm cool with that.
Okay.
Cool with
I
that.
think-
All right.
I feel like emo people are a lot of them are somewhat
Yeah, can't you see
suicidal.
them
so-
dancing and squirming
Yeah.
in their little dead circle or whatever it is?
And
We're
some of the other options were Domino's Oreo dessert pizza, mouth herpes, and syphilitic insanity.
I like the pile of dead bodies or whatever the card was. Yeah, that was a good.
Yeah,
That's the winner, I
made the
think.
most sense.
And guys,
Fuck Mountain. Fuck Mountain would win. With
Oh.
it. The great thing
Yeah.
about Fuck Mountain is
That's a trump card. That wins no matter
like,
what.
It is a trump card.
it's so
Yeah.
good with almost everything.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Fuck Mountain. Like that's the thing. It's like when I read Fuck Mountain, I was like, God damn, this is such a good, like, I just like reading Fuck Mountain. Like that.
We played.
What was that?
We played with Allison's like some of her family one year for
Yeah.
Christmas, and it was all these older people, like they were,
Oh.
They
they're-
never played Cards
they've
Against
never
Humanity
played before. They were
Yeah.
all in their 50s and 60s, and it was these older, her aunts and uncles, like a lot of these older people, and there was some people our age playing, and
Yeah.
her uncle Ricky. I got to shout out to Uncle Ricky because he had Fuck Mountain, and he was like, "Man, I like that card right there." He said, "I like that Fuck Mountain card right there."
There was one time we were playing with some of my wife's family, and her cousin, her husband, his grandmother was there, and she's like in her 70s. and we were playing, and we had a card. And just by the way she said it, I'll never forget it. We all laughed for about 15 minutes. She was like, she just read it off. She's like, cracker ass motherfuckers. And like, just by the way she said it, we laughed for fucking 15 minutes straight. I forgot what the black card was, but just by the way she was, and the rest of the night we were like, you cracker ass motherfuckers. Like,
dude, I love grandmas. Like,
oh my God.
So funny.
Yeah, not to mention shout out to Cards Against Humanity. We've been doing that game since the beginning. It started off with just Cards Against Humanity, and then we've rolled in other stuff. And guys, of course, we're starting to get, we're about in the 19-minute mark to about where the episode is probably going to end for the audio version, and we're probably going to let you guys go ahead and get out of here.
Cool.
What all do you guys have coming up? Of course, you know, you guys, are you guys back on tour? Are you guys getting ready to go back? Of course, you said you had a show, so obviously you guys are playing, you know, a little bit.
So we had our first hometown show in 2 years this past Friday, and it was amazing. We played with our friends Artifice and Kings of Vale.
Okay.
And two of our really, really good friends, some of our really, really good friends, and us and Artifice are like the Jackson, Tennessee scene. Like, we're the bands that have kind of stuck around for a long time. And dude, it was like packed wall to wall. It was a great show.
Yeah,
and then
awesome.
we get on stage and just act wild. And then at the end of the night, like, I'm carrying my pedal board and my cables down some stairs, and I like fall and sprain my ankle. And I'm like, how have I jumped around, climbed on top of shit, and jumped off of shit for years and years and years, and I've never hurt myself? And like, you know, and I exercise a lot, dude, and I stretch all the
Taking
time.
your shit off the stage.
And I'm carrying, I do it like the most uncool way possible. I'm carrying my pedal board, and it's got a pile of cables on top of it. I carry it down some stairs, and I can't see, and I roll my ankle like this. But you know, that's part of it. We don't have any plans to go back on tour anytime soon. We're recording like a new album, and what we're doing is, instead of having the whole thing written, we're just like writing one song at a time. Allison and I wrote a bunch of songs last year during lockdown, and we're going back through those songs as a band now, and we're like recording them one at a time. So we're putting out a steady stream of singles. This year we put out Leave a Light On and Creatures. We put out Creatures a week ago, and that's like, to me, that's like our best song and video yet.
Oh yeah, the video and the song's amazing. So anybody, make sure you go check that out, because it's great. I enjoyed it, highly myself. So
that's the song that that like I'm the most proud of so far. And what we're trying to do is like express how fluid we can be as a band. We don't want to be labeled as like a one-trick pony. A lot of people say we're a metal band or whatever, and I don't really consider us a metal band, but we've already recorded a song, like a couple more ballads. We've recorded some like really, really heavy stuff that's like some of the heaviest stuff we've ever done. We've been experimenting with different tunings. So that's the thing, is like, we're going to be playing shows next year. As far as like tours for a full, or like a big tour or whatever, we don't have any plans for that just yet. Our main focus is to, we're on Twitch usually twice a week. Allison has a Patreon. We're going to be doing the best we can to bring you guys like the best music possible, and so we can get on the road and meet more people, because the shows that we did play in 2021, we did hit a lot of new markets and made a lot of new fans, and so got to actually play for some people that have been following us for a long time that haven't had the chance to see us yet. And that was after being in lockdown for a year and a half. That was one of the coolest things. So we're anxious to get back out there, but our main focus now is to connect with people through Twitch and to just put out the best content we can. And we've really, as a band, you get into the, and I'm sure like you guys know, like with the whole wrestling thing, you get into like this whole grind, like this hustle, and that's part of it, man. Like, by all means, like, we're hustlers and we grind and we don't know how to stop. but we're really trying. The pandemic kind of forced us to kind of go back to this place where we just want to be artists first. We want to create the best music that we possibly can and make it an entire visual and audio experience for our fans. Like we do, we put just as much time into our music videos and our photography as we do our music. So like we want to make it an entire experience.
Yeah,
for
and I
people.
mean,
And
hard work pays off. I mean, that's the
Dude,
thing.
definitely.
Like what you said with, carrying stuff after the show. It's like, one thing in wrestling that we always preach is you never stop paying your dues. Before or after the show, I could be putting up chairs, help put up the ring. It's like I could sit there, go do a steel cage match or a ladder match, and then after the show, blow out my ankle carrying chairs. Just helping break down the ring or whatever. And when you talked about your sound with the rock / metal stuff, what I automatically thought of was bands like Five Finger Death Punch and kind of like Slipknot / Stone Sour. It's like they can super hard, but then they can sit there and you hear them and you're like, oh man, they're also, they can do really good singing type songs and all that. So when you said that, and hearing some of your stuff, it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. It's like, you guys can be super hard, but, you guys can also sit there and, do kind of stuff like that. Like, everybody knows Corey Taylor, Slipknot, what Slipknot is, but then you see him in Stone Sour and, Stone Sour is a complete different thing. Or, Ivan from Five Finger Death Punch. It's like you hear a lot of their stuff, but then, some of the stuff you hear on the radio is a lot more mellow and toned down, and, it's still just as good as what the other stuff is. So, and, that's how, I see it with a lot of that, it definitely grind on and, keep on doing the thing. And of course, for anybody at home, listening at home, or in case anybody sees this on YouTube, where can they find you guys, find your Twitch stream, find your Patreon, find all your music, all that fun stuff?
Just, if you just go to your favorite, whatever you do, like rosesunreadofficial.com is our website, but we're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and, that's like, those are the hubs for everything. So whatever your platform of choice is, just search for Roses Unread, UNREAD, like an unread book. Kind of a play on words there, but that was Allison's kind of idea from the get-go. But
I thought when I heard that, I was like, that's unique.
Yeah, we're out there. Like Allison or I, one is on, the social media every day. We're not so active on Twitter. Feel like if you're a political commentator, Twitter's great for you, but like we're not really into all that. So, Facebook and Instagram are our main things. And then from there, our YouTube page, and like we do vlogs and stuff like that on YouTube. Like I'll take my camera and follow Rocky. Like he went to the drum shop, had to get a new pedal, and I'll follow him to the drum shop. So you kind of get to see a lot of behind the scenes things. And we have a short documentary that filmed and edited by me, and it's basically the story of the last year of this band, and like how we basically everything got put on hold during the pandemic and what we did and how Leave a Light On and Creatures came about. And it's like a 20-minute documentary. I'm super proud of it. I basically taught myself how to be a photographer and a videographer over the last year. Because I couldn't go out and play shows with my best friends, like the guys in this band, I had to like get that creative fix somewhere else. So I wrote music, and also I bought a camera and learned how to, make good quality videos and take, cool pictures. So that documentary is a culmination of the last year. So that'll be on our YouTube page, and that's going to be dropping in the next month or so.
And I respect that, man, because I hear you, because when my wrestling career started to dwindle down, that's honestly how this podcast came to be. And I was just kind of like, you know what? I told my wife, I'm like, I'm an entertainer, whether
for sure,
watching me or 50,000 people watching me. I got to figure out something on how to keep on in some way entertaining people, and that's how this podcast came to be. I taught myself how to do all the editing stuff. I taught myself how to do, whatever it is that needs to be done. So yeah, I mean, I definitely respect that, man. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and let you guys get ready to get out of here. For everybody listening or watching at home, we will be back in 1 week's time. So for everybody watching live on YouTube or watching this on YouTube, we will be back on December 4th, and our very special guest is Mr. Skin. So if anybody knows Mr. Skin from MrSkin.com, he will be our very special guest right here on the show. We will be live with him on YouTube Live. And if nobody knows anything about Mr. Skin, he's the one that goes on and he posts all the nudes of all the naked celebrity women who have ever done any
That's what I thought it was. That's what I thought it was. Oh my gosh. That's so cool.
Yeah. So Mr. Skin, Jim McBride, the owner of MrSkin.com, will be joining us right here on the Happy Hour podcast. And then we will be live on December 10th with Steve Ham, who's an actor. He was a helicopter pilot. He was in the Army, all kinds of fun stuff, we're going to talk about with him, especially being a helicopter pilot, because I'm very interested in, talking about a helicopter. And, I would love to be able to get on a helicopter and fly around with that dude and, just see. And my dad was in the Army himself. So, that's the whole thing of being able to talk to him, and then, just all kinds of fun stuff coming up. And then January, probably sometime next month, we will be announcing all of our January guests. We do have a big adult film star name that we will have on in January. We are not going to announce that quite yet, but that will be coming at the beginning of the month. So yeah, everybody, thank you for tuning into the Happy Hour podcast. We're going to go ahead and wrap up our audio version, and we're going to hang around for a couple more minutes on YouTube Live with Roses Unread. And thank you for tuning into the Happy Hour podcast. We will see you guys next week.
Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thanks for having us.
All right. So the audio version's done. Just real quick, we'd like to let, all the fans watching at home or anybody on YouTube watch this. If you guys can, every commercial break we do on the audio, when we do, songs, all that, if you guys can just say, hey, this is John and Allison, Roses Unread, and this is the Happy Hour podcast. However you guys want to do it. We always like to drop those in going in and coming out of commercial breaks in various episodes.
Go ahead.
You go first. But I'll just say, hey, this is Allison, and John, you can finish it.
Okay.
Hey, this is Allison.
And this is John from Roses Unread, and you're listening to us on the Happy Hour podcast.
All right. Thanks, guys. Awesome. We appreciate it. Of course, this is going to go ahead and wrap up our YouTube Live. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for viewing, and make sure you hit the subscribe button, subscribe to everything for the Happy Hour podcast. You will get notifications when we are live, and any extra content that we have will be right here exclusively on YouTube Live. And as I said, that's going to finish our stream. We will see you guys on December 4th with Mr. Skin right here on YouTube Live.
All right. Ray, Matt, thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you.